Okay people, how's it going? This is my 2022 KTM 300 XCW. You can see that right there. I've just left the truck, got the bike up to operating temperature. These are literally the first, this is the first I've had it on single track. I just rode the road up to get to this point. It looks like it was 1.8 miles from the truck. That's how many hours this bike has on it. It's a 2022. Oh my gosh, it runs. So this is now the third 2022 KTM. Well, I first had the Gas EC300, and then I've been out on my 250XC, and now this one. And I'm telling you guys, like these three TPI bikes are, I think that was, looked like that was the, but what I was gonna say is these three 2022 TPI bikes have been the best running TPI bikes I have had out of the box. All of them have been just like freaking dynamite as far as how they run. So there's that. I mean, I do have my tools here where I will be, if I need to adjust my air bypass screw on this guy. See there, I'm shifting between second and third, and this is third, and it's a little bit too high up out of there. This is where, because we're on the XCW transmission, this is where I got really blown out last year with the flood right up here. But yeah, so this sucker runs amazing. I did do the idle screw mod on this before I even rode it. Man, that front fork is so plush because this is freaking intense. These rocks. I don't know where the trail goes from here because it literally got covered. I'm trying to think. The trail, I don't know if it goes up that side or up this side. Oh please. All right, I found it. My gosh, this thing has so much power down low. So the last time out, which was earlier this week, I was on my 250XC, which is like, as you guys know, kind of like my all-time favorite. Those rocks are so, there's just so many of them, and they're so loose, so it takes, some of them are so loose, so it takes a lot of concentration for me to just kind of like try to decipher which ones I can hit, which ones I can't. Other things. Yes, this bike does feel shorter front to back than the KTM, than the 250XC that I was on earlier this week. I said the same thing about the 2022 Gas E300 because now I've gotten to the point now where, let's see, that's steep. I've gotten to the point now where when I switch from an XC bike to the XCWs or even that Gas EC300, I can feel the difference in the length of the bike. They just feel, they don't look like they're longer, the XCs, when you sit them, when you have them sitting back to back in the shop or in the trailer, but they feel longer. So let's see if we can just pop this baby up through. So I've got the clicker set in the standard configuration on this. Set my sag to 105 millimeters standing with all my gear on. As far as tires, I went away just one little variation from what I normally do. So you'll hear how low the RPMs on the bike are. That's because it's a 300. I like to keep the RPMs a little bit lower, and I'm in third gear, and so, and this is rough as snot. So going a little slower, you can see pick up the speed there. But as far as tire on the rear, running the IRC VE33S Dakota, one of my go-to tires. And on the front, instead of doing the Bridgestone M59, I just left the Dunlop AT81 on this thing. That's what the bike comes with stock. A lot of times I'm swapping that out, but I didn't this time. So, and I'm finding it to be a pretty decent front tire. I used to not really love it, and I will say I like the front, the AT81 on the front more than I like the AT81 on the rear. Yeah, see, look how all this, it was last summer. This is just like, it's deep enough to lose a truck in this stuff. Just flash floods coming down here, like just unearthing boulders and tons of this rock stuff. It just created like massive rock slides with some rain that we had last year. Interesting, because we're in the middle of May here, and this trail is dry as a bone. We've got some south-facing slopes and some north-facing slopes on this. Ooh, about lost it. On this trail, it's pretty much just an out and back. But yeah, that first part of the trail there with all the rocks is my least favorite part of it. And now we get into the better stuff. I really like when I get in the aspen trees and the pine trees up here in a 10 miles or so. So yeah, kind of a fun little trail. One thing I was gonna say though is the forks on these XCWs. It's the WP Explorer 48mm open cartridge fork. These are the softest valved forks that I get on any of the bikes. Very compliant, very plush. Not far more plush than like the Japanese brands, your Hondas and your Kawasaki's and your Yamahas. These are just valved plusher. It's more centered around, you know, single track type riding, like what we're doing, where you're going to have lots of rocks. It isn't just like a modified motocross valving, which is pretty much what all the Japanese brands do, is they just give you kind of like a modified motocross, and some of those are good, but they're just not maybe quite plush enough for some of this stuff where it's just rockier than all get out. But this one is very good, very compliant, and so you will like that. If you're looking for a trail bike to do kind of what I'm doing, you know, you see on my channel a lot of the stuff, a lot of single track. The WP open cartridge 48 fork, that Explorer 48 fork is money for that. You know, very compliant. Some people complain it doesn't hold up well enough in whoops, like, you know, when you really get on it. See, the trail, this trail was completely demolished right through here last year by Mother Nature, and it looks like this is where we skirt back across. But yeah, see all these loose rocks, sharp edges, softball size, baseball size, golf ball size rocks, even cantaloupe size. This is where this fork really shines in that stuff. As the speeds get higher and higher, once you get into fourth gear, if you're going to hit some stuff, you're going to start to get into the, you know, the deeper parts of the stroke, especially if you're any, you know, much heavier than me with all your gear on. I'm about $165 before gear, probably almost $195 once I've got all geared up, I would say. And usually with that amount of weight, these bikes usually come very close to the 105 millimeters of sag that I want. I'm only usually a turn or two away on that preload color. I'm going to drop down, probably get second here. And see, so this is second, and I'll hit third, and it's just, that's the XCW for you, man. You're shifting between second and third. It's probably the worst part about the bike. Not that it's horrible. I'm just saying, traditionally the XC gearbox has been a little bit better for that, because the third gear isn't quite so far away from second. Now, the rumors, the things that I am hearing are on the 2023 XC bikes. It is not. It's going to be a 6-speed, but the word on the street is that it's maybe not even, they've changed it where it's maybe not the XCW, but it's not the XC gearing either, which is interesting. I need to reserve my judgment, although I will say, why would you want to screw up the best thing about the bike, which was the transmission, in my opinion. It was just money, man. See, this part when I get into the trees like this, that's just my favorite. This thing doesn't last too long. We'll be out of it, but further up in the trail you get into a little bit more sustained you know, woods, which is fun. But yeah, the bike is freaking agile, really nimble. I actually have my pipe is a little crushed because it's the pipe from the EC300. I gave Amanda Johnson basically a brand new pipe. This is the pipe from that I crunched a little bit on the gas. But it's not affecting anything. I think I can tell the difference a little bit in how the bike sounds. It's got a little gurgly sound to it. But then I've got the FMF Turbine Core 2.0 silencer on the rear of this thing to make it Forest Service approved, and gosh, that's awesome. I love it when you get a tight little corner like that and you're on a two-stroke. I shifted down a second to make that little turn. Now I'm back up into third, and because we're on a 300, it handles that third gear a little better than the 250. That, like, if you get the 250 XCW, you notice that gearing maybe a little bit more prevalent than you do on the 300. It's got a little bit more grunt, and it can kind of absorb that gap a little better.